right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:32. It is March 10th. It is Monday. I hope everyone's feeling well. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to the 630 Club. We've been doing the 630 Club since what? 2020 during the pandemic when everybody was worried and didn't know how to handle themselves. And I'm like, you know what? I traded through the Nasdaq bubble bursting in 2000. I traded through the financial crisis. I'm like, I'm in the short hill's office. I'm here to help. But anyway, since then, we've been uncovering what to do each day, the key to the day, the levels. We get prepared. I also just created the 28-5-20, which is a way to get the mind right in the morning, a little mobility, a little exercise, a little sweat, where we think about positions, what's going on with the futures before we actually even get into the office for the X's and O's. But anyway, here we are. It's a new week. Futures are under a little bit of pressure. Last night when they opened up around 6 o'clock, I'm like, what are we going to have? Are we going to have a little bit of upside follow through to the little feeble reversal on Friday, or are we going to retest those lows real fast, or maybe even break them? Because Friday did not feel, or even last week, everyone was like, oh, the greed fear indicator is screaming for a rally. I'm like, it just doesn't really feel like we had the capitulation. It didn't feel like we had the acceleration. It felt like for the past few weeks we've been just de-risking. That you have the tariffs, you have things slowing down, you have Doge making cuts, you have a PE of the S&P at 21. You've just had 2 huge years in the stock market, so it just feels like, hey, time for a normal corrective type phase. And as of now, we did hit a low of how cute is that? 5666. Remember 6666? That was like back in 2007, 2008. But anyway, and then you had a little reversal. So we're right at the 200 day. Listen, it's always good to put a little bit of money long term at the 200 day, even though technically nothing good happens below the 200 day. But for us, we've already adjusted our approach because we are momentum traders. We trade actively for a living. We try and be right. In order to be right long, you need things to be above the 8 and 21 day, right? So if once that thing breaks, which broke up here, this is when we were reducing risk. We were reducing risk at 6,084. We were reducing risk when we broke the 8 and 21 day. So we've been just testing levels, trying to be tactical as we get some market discovery. So here we are all the way down here at 5666. So Friday, I think a lot of people made some good money because we were focusing on the SPYs, and the SPYs broke. If you remember, we broke this 570.12, hit a low of 565-ish. Okay, actually 565. If you want to be perfect, you could say 565.63. And then all of a sudden we had a decent rally into the end of the day. So there was money to be made. I am very small net long, so I remember on this day we actually thought that would be a little bit of a low. We'd have a little bit of follow through, or one of these days, and kind of got blasted. So I'm like, I'm not doing that again. So for today, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. Right now, are we going to go back and retest 565.63? Are we going to hold above it? Right now, the SPYs are a little bit above it. Are key names going to hold above Friday's lows, or all of a sudden are they going to break it and we're going to get really sloppy and anybody that positioned too big gets stops out? I don't know. We'll see. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, well, if we do not hold this 565-ish, what's next? I guess you got to really look at the charts here. So if you go sideways, let's see, did I do it? I think I did the percentages on the weekly. Did we do the weekly? Yeah. So here's the weekly. So on the weekly chart, you take a look at it. We tried to give you percentages. So 565-ish would be about 8% off the highs. Then you have 542, you have 528, and then this is 510. These are like the three bigger levels on the weekly. But obviously things take time. So I guess if you want to go micro, where can we get to if we were to break this spot this week? There's really not a whole hell of a lot. You have this like 550, 549. This is, what's this low here? This is 552. That would be a spot, and that'd be a lot below it. 552, probably a decent percentage off the highs, and still, there's not really a lot going on there. This was 540-ish. I remember that as being a big level way back when. But I don't want to start talking about all these lower levels. I don't want to start talking about these crashes. What I want to go over today is how do we make money potentially today? Well, how do we make money today is maybe you could buy versus that level. You could buy versus 565. Maybe we make a low at 567 or 568, in the first 10 minutes. And maybe even just get an attempt to go, all flows to rally back. And then if all of a sudden names don't rally and the indices try and rally, chances are it's not going to stick. And then you get, and then all of a sudden, we see what happens if we get down to that area. Qs are very similar also. The Qs are down 6, they're 485. So if you go here, what's the low in the Qs? Low in the Qs are 480.53. So, are we going to hold 480.53? I don't know. Anybody who tells you we're going to hold it, or we're going to hold above it, we're going to break it, they have no friggin' idea what they're talking about. They're giving you their opinion. Right now we're going to have multiple plans. We're going to let the market tell us what's going on here. And as of right now, you have 480.53. You try to hold the 200-day again. If all of a sudden we really give away and the 200-day is gone, then it's going to be all about market discovery. Remember this little false top up here? Remember when it lost all the moving averages? Well, that was a good time to adjust. So, what am I going to watch? So I have like 6 different screens, and I watch the Mag 7s, I watch the semis, I watch some of the high valuation names. So, I'm going to watch Amazon, in mega cap tech. I'm going to see, does Amazon hold above, 192.53? If not, it's working lower. Most people got out tactically when it broke. Remember that gap and go to the downside? Well, since then it's been below the 8-day moving averages, rejected each and every time. So now we'll see, does it hold 192.53? Right now, Amazon is above that. So I think that's a good thing to watch. Meta's tricky, but Meta also had a nice bottom tail into the 600 level that we spoke about. I did not take Meta long. So, hey, maybe this morning, you could watch Meta and buy it versus this 600. Meta right now is, has quietly pulled in a lot. But we kind of knew it, because if you remember when we, told you to get out of Meta, it was up here. Remember the ascending channel that broke to the downside at 725? That was a good spot. So, 614, it's still $15 above Friday's low. So it's a little loose and wide sometimes. Sometimes Meta is tricky to play, because it just, has just, it's so loose and wide. It can go down another $10 in your grill and you feel like you're helpless. Or then if you like short a rally because it was weaker, it changes complexion. But as of right now, if you look at Meta here, Meta versus 600 could be a spot. So, what you want to do is, I have like 8 of these things up. So I'll give you another one even. So Tesla is a battleground. I feel like I haven't really been trading it much, just because it's been caught in this downtrend. And, this whole, everyone feels like the world's starting to get mad at Elon. His brand is getting diminished a bit. It seems like he's also starting to fight with Trump a little. So I don't know what all of this means, except for I have not been sitting in Tesla. Tesla was my best trade pre-election, post-election, when we were in the honeymoon. And then you had your red dog reversal. You had a lower high, another lower high, lower high, lower high, broke 360. And then remember, everyone's like, oh, 325 is going to stick, and it broke. And you did get a little bottom tail, little one. Okay. So sometimes that gives you a short-term bottom, but obviously at this point, we don't know. Tesla's down another 8 right here. So this one's a little bit closer, at least to, to that low. And then you have another gap here. It's been battered. So I've traded a little bit, but, to me, Tesla's very tricky. And there's a lot of news, and, it's something that when things are a battleground, I'd rather stay away, because it's too tough. Apple, very hard. Apple, seems like it's acting better, but it seems to have a lot of volatility when you're not expecting it. Like Apple right now is, down 3, 235. So watch this 233. If it doesn't hold 233, it could break this little ascending channel to the downside. Some money's trying to hide in Apple. I get it. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe that's something to look at this morning. But as you can see, so sometimes what I do is I line up all my level 2s, and this is how I watch the pin action when we open. As an active trader, this is how I used to trade when I was in 1998, with the Internet machine. But anyway, so out of these, you're going to want to see which ones give you a signal that potentially they stop going down or not. What else? I don't think Google's worth trading, to be honest. Google has shown relative weakness. It lagged a lot. You can look here, Google. Google actually is trying to hold in there again. So maybe you can look versus 169. And then as far as like the high valuation names that were acting awesome until they broke, I am in a little bit of PLTR. It held this 578 area. So it looks like it's trying to put in a little bit of a floor. It's trying to show some relative strength. So I will look here to see if I could add to it. If I don't see, if it all of a sudden starts playing catch up to the downside, which sometimes it does, I'll use 78 as an out. 78 will be my out. As of now, it's only down $2, so it's showing some relative strength still. So maybe this is something you could turn towards. We'll see. It was stronger on Friday, so that's why I took it. I only took a few little trades home with me because, again, I just wasn't feeling it 100%. But so that's that. So now you switched to a different sector. So you have your Reddit, you have your Palantir, you have your APP. These, and then you have your Dash. So DoorDash added to the S&P 500. I do have options there, but I'm not going to all of a sudden start tooting my own horn because I took options in APP, thinking one or the other would get added. Dash got added. So we'll see. This thing's been so battered and bruised. Someone's like, I'm taking the stock. I'm like, it's very risky. This name still hasn't bounced. It's still under pressure. So I like to have this group together like this so I could see what's happening where. So this was at 193 on Friday, and now it's at 186. So if the market does find a little bit of a low, maybe Dash is viable. I'm at this point, I'm just like, kind of take some profits when you have it type of thing. So I might have to trim a little bit of my options that I put on Friday. And as far as like APP, I'll watch it first of level. It's got to have to give me a really big signal that you could buy it, because everyone's like, well, APP was, it was 5.25. I'm like, well, maybe it shouldn't have been 5.25, I guess, but this is when it broke 488 and it's been just working its way lower. What's the low? 247. So 247 is a spot. I guess does it hold 247 this morning, or not? Let's go back to it. It's $5 above it. Let me say good morning to some of my dogs around the world. Here we go. What would your stop be on Tesla? Well, I'm not long Tesla. Crypto definitely has not been acting well. The semis, actually, NVIDIA on Friday was a great indicator. Remember, I taught you about 110. I said if it gets below 110, they could probably sell the market off. If it can't stay below it, maybe there was a good red dog reversal around that. So I would look at AVGO and look at NVIDIA to see what the story of the day is. If you go right here, let's go to NVIDIA first. NVIDIA did give you a small red dog reversal long here, right? This was 110. This is when it was a little bit clear and defined, and now it's back below that. So if you go, let's switch to the semis now. But these are all things you should have up on your screen when you're trading. So NVIDIA is down 3. So if you took some I almost took NVIDIA overnight. Thank goodness I didn't. But I could see why you would have. It kind of led the market bounce. Okay, so if you were long NVIDIA, so this is how I would play it. Okay, I'm not in NVIDIA. If you were long NVIDIA, I would say, hey, maybe look for a 5-15 minute, like maybe it goes to 109 and bounces off 109. And you add a little bit to it, and then all of a sudden the market tries to bounce a little bit in the first half an hour. Maybe it goes from 109 and tries to come off those lows and you could trade. If it can't rally and all of a sudden breaks 107.56, that's going to get very sloppy. You're going to have to be very careful because the next level isn't down to like 195, like 101-ish. If that happens, the semis are definitely going to be under pressure, and chances are we're going to get a little bit maybe of fear and acceleration to the downside. SMH themselves tried to hold this. This is 27. This was 218.05. So SMH's is 217. There's a lot of like deep seek type of news out there. Like there's a whole nother model created in China that's supposed to be faster and cheaper. So there's a lot of news flow everywhere. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, why are we down today? I'm like, it's a little bit of everything. There's some headlines that U.S. and Russia will not talk again. So some thought maybe Ukraine, Russia would have a deal, which they don't. Some are a little worried that on Friday, maybe the government shuts down because there'll be no deal. But I think that's just a lot of noise, but we'll see. Then you have, I think Morgan Stanley came out and said that they're lowering their GDP forecast to 1.2. So what does that mean? That means they're saying the economy is going to slow, and right now the narrative is a growth scare. So that means when you have a PE of the S&P at 21 and the GDP is constricting, obviously the valuations are too high, so you have to de-risk. Nev wants to know about my blood on the street account. So for me, I put 25% of some long-term money to work. I have a blood on the street account, which is in cash, besides a 401k that you should do every month, $529 every month. And I put 25%. Usually I do thirds, third, 3 tiers. And I've only gotten 2 tiers to work because we haven't come in that much over the course of the last, decade. So I put 25% just because I'm like, you know what, we're 6.1% off the highs. Everyone's calling for a rally. So this actually is good for that account. So bottom line is if the spies could, and I also have to position on the end of the day, and we were off the lows of the day. Here we were down almost 8%, then we closed only down 6.1. So I would put another tier or make it a full third if we could see either somewhere below the low where we close on the dead lows and I can get that print, or the next level I have really is like 552-ish. I have a whole slide with percentages, so I don't have it right in front of me right now. Yes, we got the CPI and PPI later this week, so that could cause some volatility as well. The word that people don't like right now is stagflation. What does stagflation mean? It means low growth and you're paying a lot for things. That's not good. With low growth and prices of things don't come down, then things cost more and you're not making more, and it's not a great environment for stocks. So we got to hopefully stagflation does not happen, and we only hear about it for a little while, but we'll see. What up, Steve from Massapequa? What would be your again? I'm not in Tesla, so what would be your stop in Tesla? Well, you have all you have right now is Friday's low. Okay, so if you're in it and it breaks 250.73, you do have a gap pivot here, which is what this low is 238. So you got a lot of room from what is this, like $13 between this and this, and then if it wants to get in that gap, that would cause some sloppiness. What about ASTS? ASTS is strong. ASTS, I'm in a little bit of this. The chart's building. It's not down much. It had a green day. This is one of the better charts in the market right now. It's above the 8-day. Find me 5 stocks that are above the 8-day. So that's why I'm long a little bit of this. I'll probably add a little bit. It is a concept play, but it's getting closer to the concept becoming a reality. So I will probably look to buy a little bit. Maybe I'll buy some options. This is 39. Here is 33-ish. I would think that if this could hold above here, that would be good. I'll probably buy some options, some more options. Go out like a month. Go out a month and buy the $40 calls. There's a lot of money involved in this right now. If the market wasn't under pressure, it would probably be a lot higher, but the market is under pressure, so it's letting this chart pattern build. But this looks pretty good. How would it not look good? Well, you probably don't want to see it break below 29. Breaks below 29, then all of a sudden it doesn't look so good. So got to see if big money stays behind it and wants to keep it super special, because once this market turns, you would think this thing's going to have a big move. So we'll see. Crypto. Yes, I'm not in any crypto right now. I did not like the way it closed. The IBIT broke below this mid-level here. So to me, I was like, you know what? The whole crypto reserve thing or the way that Trump went about it, or the crypto market was thinking that they would be buying for the strategic reserve, not just putting confiscated crypto in a reserve that they're not going to sell, which is good, but it's only a small good. And then this whole meme coin thing with Trump's coin and this coin and that coin, I think it really showed that it's kind of not a joke, but it took some of the prestige out of crypto, where Bitcoin, yes, I say you could put money in every single month for a long time, and chances are 108,000 is not the high. But you start throwing some altcoins in there, it's like that are worth absolutely nothing and probably going to be a zero at some point. It's just like, it's just, I thought it cheapened the whole potential of what this sector is all about. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Mister's been really tough. Mister also broke this little spot here. So, when little things happen, okay, you have to acknowledge it. So when Mister broke below this little spot here, okay, no longer was acting so tight and so pent up. Hopefully you sold some after a move from 239, and now, Mister's probably down like everything else. Where's Mister this morning? It's down 13 at 272. What's this low here? 271. So I would say, does Mister, hold 271-ish? If you sold Mister, which you probably should have, if you think about it, from 239 right into resistance, which is what it did. It did go right into resistance and kind of got rejected. If you were super active, you should have reduced. And now the question is, will it hold this 271? Which maybe it does. Maybe it's a good trade. I'll look at it. But bottom line is, if Bitcoin wants to break 80, like right now, IBIT, by the way, is down 267. This is 46.67. So here is this is what? This is 46-ish. So if Bitcoin does not hold 46-ish, you're going to see a sloppy move, which will probably create some sloppiness everywhere. I personally will look to be buying Bitcoin somewhere between 72,000 and 74,000 if that happens over the course of the next week in a longer term account. And then I'll also see how it's going with the IBIT to figure out if I want to put it in my swing account where I get paid, monthly and quarterly. But anyway, listen, guys, take some care. There's a lot going on here. 565 is that low. If this low doesn't hold and it gets below, you got to see market discovery all over again. If it could hold versus that and things aren't going down in stockland, maybe there's a decent trade there. But I do think this is a complicated open based on Friday, but there were some signals that Friday was just a bounce, not like the day. And I even said it in my commentary. I'm like, the oscillator is minus 27. It's not minus 70, so it's not going to give you a way out. Didn't feel like there was fear capitulation and 6-7% off the highs when the average correction off the highs is 13. Look for a trade, but don't look for an inflection point. So now today we'll kind of know a little bit more. So anyway, it is 6:55. I just went for 25 minutes. Thank you to some of you guys who subscribed to the button above. If you've been finding value in the 630 Club, which I've been doing for free since 2020, you should subscribe above, and start testing out the 25-20, which is a workout that we do early in the morning together, and to get the mind right. Some people don't even do the workout. They're on a treadmill, they're on a stair machine, they're using a stationary bike, just listening to the thoughts. By the time we start that, I've already looked at what's happening around the world. I'm already starting to frame the day. And if you're up early by yourself and you need a friend, hey, Red Dog, dog's the best man, a man's best friend. But anyway, we'll see what goes on today. Just kind of take a deep breath and just make the right decision at the right time, and chances are, you'll make some money. And if you're over your skis and you're too long and you're jumping out of your skin right now, then you put on a little bit too much last week, and you can't do stuff like that, because then you're never going to think clearly. So I do think this week's going to be a fantastic week. We're going to have our levels. We're going to try and net money every day, and maybe out of our 7 accounts, we could use each one of them in certain ways to approach this market. And if this week we don't find the bottom, and and things happen in a few weeks from now, we'll act accordingly. We're going to be patient. We're going to be aggressively patient. What does that mean? That means you're patient for your spots. You're not trading in no man's land, but you're aggressive when you get your signal. I'll see you guys later.